The Kremlin dismissed a report that European diplomats warned Moscow and NATO would shoot down Russian aircraft violating European airspace. Bloomberg reported that British, French and German envoys privately told Moscow NATO would be ready to down any Russian plane breaching European skies. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov called the claim very responsible and said the accusations of Russian airspace violations were baseless and unsupported by evidence. The warning comes amid rising tensions following repeated drone and jet incursions that European officials blame on Moscow. UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper debunked Russia's Sergei Lavrov as the G20, calling Moscow's war in Ukraine an unprovoked assault as he left during her remarks. Cooper said Lavrov walked out to avoid hearing condemnation of Russia's invasion, calling it a disgraceful attack on Ukraine and the UN Charter. Lavrov had earlier accused the West and NATO of provoking the conflict and using sanctions to destabilize the global trade. Other G20 ministers joined in condemning Russia and voiced support for Gaza's peace efforts. The US pledged to refocus the G20 on its core economic missions when it assumes the presidency in December. Frontline EU states have agreed on the need to build a drone wall to boost airspace security amid rising aerial threats. EU Defence Commissioner Andreas Kobylas said on Friday that member states reached an understanding and developing advanced drone detection, tracking and interception capabilities. Speaking in Finland after talks with defence ministers, he said a detailed technical roadmap will be drawn up with national experts. The move follows a series of drone incidents in Northern Europe, including closures of Denmark's Aalborg and Copenhagen airports and Norway's Oslo airport. Copenhagen called the drone intrusion the most serious attack on its infrastructure to date, linking it to suspected Russian incursions.
First of all, to have effective detection system, because that, from my point of view, is lacking at the moment. And if we shall not see, who is flying in, then definitely.
Belarus proposed building a nuclear power plant to supply electricity to Russian-controlled parts of Ukraine. President Alexander Lukashenko said after talks with Vladimir Putin. Lukashenko told Putin Belarus could quickly start work on a new plant to power units if demand exists in Western Russia or liberated regions of Ukraine. Putin said financing would not be an obstacle if buyers agreed to pay. The plan underscores the close alliance between the two leaders, even as President Donald Trump seeks to entice Minsk towards the West by offering incentives tied to political reforms and prisoner release. Denmark's Justice Minister called recent drone incursions that shut major airports at a hybrid attack meant to spread fear amid rising security tensions in Europe. Billund and Aalborg airports were forced to close overnight, along with airspaces near Esbjerg, Sonderborg and Skrydstrup Air Base, home of Denmark's F-16s and F-35 jets. Police said the pattern matched earlier drone incidents that halted flights in Copenhagen and linked them to suspected Russian activity. It was Denmark's second major disruption this week, described as the most serious attack yet on its infrastructure. Russia's ambassador denied involvement.
går aftes og i nat været rapportering om droner over lufthavnene i Aalborg, Esbjerg og Sønderborg samt
NATO forces tested new drones and maritime technologies in Portugal and the Netherlands to boost defenses against emerging threats and protect critical infrastructure. The exercises included aerial and submarine drones in Troya and 3D printed remote-controlled boats in Den Helder, developed with researchers and private firms inspired by Ukraine's war experience. They focused on low-cost, unmanned solutions and sensors to guard underwater pipelines and cables. Ukraine's special forces joined the drills as recent Russian drone incursions, including in Denmark, where airports were briefly shut, highlighted the growing hybrid threat NATO seeks to counter.